That was Yadam Yaakov.
The Rebbe could say good Yom Tov. The Rebbe could say good Yom Tov. So that's the reason. All right, let's get back into our mind here. So you'll hear much more about it as the day progresses. We're saying there's two Farbrengens. There's our Farbrengen and then there's another Farbrengen later tonight at the Tzemach Tzedek. Okay. Yes, he does. We invited like the whole city. It's going to be off the charts. I mean, who knows? But we're already off the charts, so whoever comes, we can get off our charts. Okay. What did you say? Yeah. All right. So let's. Yeah, we have a sponsor. It's going to be a nice big meal and everything. So eat light at lunch. No, it's okay. We'll just have lunch. Shall we?
Shall.
All right. So we started speaking about Rosh Hashanah, and we got into some interesting points that really, this is the day of the beginning of your works, remembrance of the first day. Recall? This is the day. The day refers to Rosh Hashanah. Zeh refers to an unbelievable level of divine influence that comes on Hayom. So Zeh, Hayom. You get to the level of Zeh, which is Zeh Keli Vanveyu. This is my God and I shall glorify Him. An ability to have God before you in every way, a total state of revelation. That's the inyan of Zeh, Hayom. It comes on Rosh Hashanah. And we're saying that, okay, we went into that quite a bit, that every entity is going to have this realization, and the power of that availability comes specifically on Rosh Hashanah. And then we went and said that we have to understand this based on the fact that Rosh Hashanah is really not the first day. We're saying this is the day of the beginning of your deeds, a remembrance of the first day. When was the first day? Chafei Elul. It was the 25th of Elul. It was not the first of Tishrei, because the first of Tishrei was the 6th day of creation, as we said yesterday. So all the Rebbes, and we went through their names, each one, the Rebbe brings them down the mimer. And again, we said when he does that, he is inviting them, as it were. In other words, not every mimer does the Rebbe just list off all the Rebbeim by name. It's because it's Rosh Hashanah. When the Rebbe is saying this, and he's basically drawing down all the Rebbeim into the day. But he says all the Rebbeim ask this question, and we're saying that the answer is that it's true that the first day of creation was the 25th of Elul, but since man was created on Rosh Hashanah, and only through man's service can you bring out this state of revelation of Zeh, that's why it's considered to be the first day of creation. Why? Because it's the purpose of creation. The creation was not there just to be a creation. It was there in order to reach its end, its goal. And the goal, the kavanah of the creation, was to bring forth the ability to see God in every single prat of the creation. And that can only be accomplished through the service of man. And therefore, it really is the first day of creation in the sense that that's what the creation is there for. It's the beginning of the purpose of creation, we could say. As opposed to the beginning of the setup for creation. Right? It's the beginning of the kavanah of creation. And we said that really in order to understand the greatness of the day, we have to first understand how great, that we're saying it's better than the level of Chafei Elul, because Chafei Elul is the inyan of Ko. Right? You spell the word Ko. So said Hashem, with all the prophets except for Moshe Rabbeinu prophesied with the word Ko. And Ko means also this, but it means it in such a way, it's like this. Thus said Hashem, because you're not able to point to it in a direct way. It's like a chaf hadimayon. It's like something like this, said Hashem, because it's not crystal clear, right? So that's chafei elul. There's an unbelievable revelation of Hashem. It's an inyan of ko. So in order to really understand what zeh is and what Rosh Hashanah brings to the table, we have to first understand really just how great and amazing chafei elul is, that we're comparing it to something which is already so unbelievable. And so we started to go into that comparison. And we started to understand what Chafei Elul is, and we said some pretty amazing things about it. And we said that Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz, when Hashem created Eis HaShamayim ve'Eis HaAretz, what do we say about that? That it wasn't just the Shamayim and the Aretz, but it was Eis HaShamayim ve'Eis HaAretz, which means all the things that are in the Shamayim ve'Aretz. In other words, there was everything in creation was made, not just a sort of platform, but everything that would ever be was already made on the first day, 25th of Elul.
A good way to remind people of that is that it's Ace, Aleph, through Chava. So everything involved is there. So people, I might help people remember that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, the Indian is just that it says over there it's like Ace is an Indian of Tafel, something secondary. So the heavens and all that are Tafel to them. You're right. I mean, you could say that. It's, in Rashi, it doesn't bring that particular drasha, but it's true. In general, we say Ace is Aleph through Taf from beginning to end. It was all created from nothing to something. And he says even the creations that were created after the first day, they were only formed and made, we said. The Bria already took place, which means the actual inception of all things was already there. Just the other days brought them out from a state of, unformed existence to a formed existence and to an actual existence. But in reality, all of it was already there, including man. Because also by man, it says that man was formed by Hashem from the earth of the ground. And the earth of the ground was already there on the first day, along with everything else. And then we went even further, that if you want to, so we're saying that really this is the Indian of Bria, Yesh Ma'ayin, that sort of is everything from the world of Bria and down, right, was in existence. But we went further and said that even beyond that, really what Breishis Bara means is that all existence, even beyond Bria, even Atzilus, was already created on the first day. In other words, all of existence, anything, as opposed to not being. And where do we see that? Because we went through, and this is where we left off. We went through the pasuk, Breishis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'es ha'aretz. Breishis refers to Chochmah of Atzilus. Elokim is Bina. Eis HaShamayim is Zah, the six Spheros, and Eis HaAretz is Malchus. So that refers to the whole partsuf of Atzilus. So that was also brought into existence on the first day. What wasn't brought? It was total.
Was only the physical, natural things, or also the thing for a phone, for example?
You're asking if your phone was created on the first day of creation? It was.
The chachma was the potential of it.
Everything.
Where was it?
Where was it?
Yeah, where was it?
Not the story.
It was with Steve Jobs' great.
Where was it though?
It was in the essence, right?
No, it was a creation. It came to be. In other words, it was the first day of creation. It was on planet Earth.
But it was like it seems like it was just like kind of like a state of that creation, not the final state of that creation.
Which version was it?
Because then it wouldn't have been redundant and said like on the fourth day he created the sun and the moon when that was already created. Like,
no, but he didn't create them in the sun. He created them on the first day.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
He just revealed them on the other days. They were already there. So they were already there on Earth. Whatever Earth looked like. Yeah, obviously it looked something.
What does it mean to reveal though?
It means like you have something in your pocket, you take it out. Now it's revealed.
Well, what is it being revealed to? It's being revealed to existence?
It was shown as opposed to not being shown.
Visible.
Right? It's own.
Where was it before that?
It was in a state of potential, but the potential was not such a state of potential that it actually hadn't come out. Like one of the ways you can understand of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya in general, creation, formation, and action, is that you could take let's say a piece of clay, right? So the piece of clay is a Bria. It has a pot in there, and it's mamash in there. It's like the great artists. They say they give them a piece of marble, and they're not carving out a face. They're uncovering the face which is already in there. In other words, it's in there, and many things are in there. Everything was in there, and it was truly in there. It's just that it hadn't been formed. In other words, that was revealed. The formation of the creation had to be revealed, but its existence, and really even its formation and its action, was already in there. It's just those parts of it had to come out and be seen. But that's not necessarily the big chiddush. In other words, the big chiddush is that it exists from a standpoint where a second ago it did not exist.
Right.
So all of existence, including man's existence, and all existence that ever will be, Gashmias and Ruchnias, Chafei Elul, a great day. How could you outdo it? Right? Especially if what you're saying is that the later things that came later was just bringing out the sun and the moon, bringing out the plants. It's clearly clearly the second day, the third day, and the fourth day were not greater than the first day. We're saying Chaf Elo had how can you compare existence coming into being to bringing out a little bit of just revealing what that existence already has in it. So why suddenly the sixth day, which is Rosh Hashanah? What does it have over it? How can you beat that, right? Nothing, something from nothing. Versus, polishing up a little bit here, polishing up a little bit there. Even if you want to say it's great, nice one. I like how you brought out that little man there. That looks good. Still, the comparing the effort and the awesomeness of bringing the existence into being versus just polishing it up. You're going to compare. How could you compare? It's incomparable. Go out on a limb, but be careful. If you're on a limb, you got to get a spotter.
Make sure it doesn't crack. The point is that maybe Rosh Hashanah should be celebrated the day that Abraham found God. Because we're saying it's all about man's avodah, and that's what the whole point of Rosh Hashanah is. And that's what we're celebrating. And we're celebrating the time of creation when they're not actually truly avodah of what Hashem intended. If we're going to that, then let's go all out and say when the avodah of man started, which is when.
Well, no, but I love what you're saying. Except the truth is that someone actually came before Avraham Avinu, believe it or not, who found God, and it was Adam Arishon, and that's exactly what we're celebrating, the day that he found God. He exactly found God in a big, big way. The fact is that he was greater than some people say that he was greater even than Mashiach before the sin. Right? It's a machlokes whether Mashiach is going to be greater than, for sure Mashiach is greater than Adam Arishon after the sin. But there's a whole debate whether Mashiach is greater than Adam Rishon before the sin, because how could you be? Adam Rishon is Yatzer Kappa Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem formed him with his own hands, the perfect man by definition. He certainly found God, and that's exactly what we're celebrating. You're right. The ability to.
He was in Gan Eden. He was in a perfect place.
Okay.
It wasn't like his whole struggle.
Kol Shekain.
The work is that comes from the man. That's what the Jew. That's what it is.
He was in a very low place compared to everything else in reality, though. In other words, what I'm saying is that, look, had he not sinned, right, he would have been able to bring Mashiach himself, which means there must have been a level of potential, right? He had free choice, in theory, which means if he would have utilized his free choice, the problem is he was actually, you could argue, in even a much more difficult situation. He could not overcome his free choice. It was an impossibility, right? Which means that the tachtonim that he was in, this inability to serve Hashem, even in Gan Eden for him, was more impossible, obviously, because that's the way Hashem set it up, than what ultimately will be, where people were able to overcome their Yetzer Hara. Whatever, you could argue many things. So Adam Arishon.
Didn't he only wait till Shabbos came in?
He had to wait.
He had to wait till Shabbos came in.
Wait, what?
It was to
wait, just till Mashiach.
Yeah, he had to wait 3 hours. If he would have
3 hours.
If he would have held himself back for 3 hours, he could have brought Mashiach. And remember, because as we're going to see in the Mimer, it was his wife and his children. That's all you need.
No, that happened in a second.
It says they were placed in the garden la'avda l'shamra, to work it and to guard it. And we're going to see in the Mimer itself, he mentions this. And it says that to work it and to guard it, Chazal tell us, is what? The positive mitzvahs and the negative mitzvahs. So in other words, already in Gan Eden, even though it was Gan Eden, it had a higher level to go. It was not at its state of perfection. It was still a tachtonim to a certain degree. There's an interesting. I told this one time. I heard this from Manis Friedman. Bichlal, we're off the topic so far. We went so far on a limb. We might as well just
keep on going.
Yeah, we just get off the tree and start walking around a little bit. But I just love this board, so I'll share it with you. That how could they sin? Right, the famous question. They're sitting there, Mamash, God is before them, and He clearly tells them, don't do this, and they're not little children idiots. They were the greatest people that ever existed in their minds, in their hearts, in their munah. They were perfect. They're sitting there. So in other words, they didn't even have a Yetzer Hara, because the Yetzer Hara was the snake. He was outside of them. They were perfect beings making a very conscious decision with their head on their shoulders. How could they have made the wrong call? It's here's gold and here's evil. Which one do you want? So there's mamish an amazing word that he says. It's kind of a beautiful rendition of the whole story. He says that Chava tempted Adam, to go the wrong way. And what was her svara? She said, "What are we doing here? Hashem wanted a dira b'tachtoni, right? She clearly told us that's our purpose for existence. And here we're in, just like you were saying a moment ago, we're in Gan Eden. This cannot be the purpose of creation. It's like we're not. There definitely can go lower than this. And what's haraya? Hashem told us if we eat from this tree, we're going to die. She says that sounds very low. Let's go there. In other words, she was trying to fulfill the desire of Hashem. And Adam was like, "What are you, crazy? How can we go how can we go on shlichus? How can we put our children through that experience? How can we allow ourselves to be in such a pushed off, dark corner of the world? We have to preserve ourselves." And so she won the argument, right? She was like, "No, you don't understand. It's Hashem wouldn't ask us to do something if we didn't have the koach to do it." So she
didn't ask it.
No. So this is the concept is that it's that she knew that the power, exactly as you said. I'm basically repeating your words that the real ability to bring godliness into the world was only accomplishable by Avraham Avinu because he wasn't in Gan Eden. Right, but the fact of not going into of not being Gan Eden anymore, he was saying, and I love it. It was a conscious choice in order to enable the real avoda to take place, because they wanted the dir b'tach. Hashem wanted the dir b'tach to him. By golly, we're going to give him one. So anyway,
why do we give such credit to the snake?
So much credit to the snake because it's an angelic, divine messenger of Hashem. We say Tov the Malach HaChaim, Tov Ma'od the Malach HaMavet. It says in the Zohar. So what's very good is the angel of death. But it says in the Zohar because of this, because basically it elicits the power of Chava to find Hashem in the lowest places. We are completely off the tree now.
Wait. Before we go back to the stump. We're out of the orchard.
Now it's just a stump. Now we've cut down the tree. Okay, this is crazy. What's going on here? Yeah.
It was a question.
You see what can happen?
I've never
you go too far off the tree, you cut off your roots.
Did they know what death was?
Hashem told them. They didn't know what it was. Obviously, no one ever experienced it before. But they knew it was coming. Because Hashem said, the day you eat from this tree, you're going to die.
It was something negative.
So they perceive negative.
It sounds like their Yetzer.
They didn't have a Yetzer Hara. They didn't have one. No, they were in a state. The Yetzer Hara came into man only after they sinned. When they sinned, everything in reality became mixed with good and evil. Before their sin, the evil was concentrated in the snake, and there was no evil anywhere else in the whole reality. That's what made it into a Gan Eden. Everything was like just living its divine perfection. So they really couldn't sin at that state. So their decision was not against Hashem. It was like a thoughtful direction in the realm of bringing Hashem's ultimate will to perfection. This is Manas Friedman. I love it.
It's like the guy who collected the wood on Shabbat. He did something on purpose to bring something out, right?
Same idea.
Can I ask a question?
But I mean, here I guess you could say same idea. Yeah.
The snake, was it given free choice, or was it like just?
No, the snake does not have free choice.
So how come like
it's actually the Yetzer Hara possessed the snake. He was actually put himself in the
Chinese.
But that's interesting because like the snake was punished. So he got legs cut off.
He wasn't able to talk. Snakes aren't able to talk. Only had the power to talk after he came in.
All right, let's go on in the Maimer. This is
Okay, but we have Medaber. You have the five. What about the five things? The Medaber and the animal five.
But what about the donkey and frog stuff?
Yeah, but that's like a totally different
He said
thing.
he created the mouth during the 18 minutes before Shabbos, the first week, just for that. Basically, anything that came into being. Period. This 7 days.
it's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's true.
All right, children, we're bringing it home. So we're saying how fantastic Elul is, and how really it's not only just beyond Yitzir and Asiya, it's beyond Bria. It's the initiation of all of the Atzilus, and we're not done. And going into the actual Maimer, the last word on the line is V'chol, and it's about 8 lines up from the bottom, 9 lines up. V'kol zeh, page Kuf. Kol zeh nishave biyom harishan. All of this, all of Zah, Malchus, Chochma, Bina, all of Atzilus was all brought into existence on the first day. V'gam isa b'midrash, it also is brought in the midrash on the pasuk. Vayi'er vayivoker yom echad. So, right, in the first day was completed, it says it was evening, it was morning, day one, as opposed to saying the first day. Because in all the other days, when Hashem finished, He said the second day, the third day, the fourth day, But on the first day, he doesn't say the first day. He says day one. It's a definitely a difference and a notable difference. And the Midrash says the Mashkasuv Yom Echad below Yom Rishon. Why does it say day one as opposed to the first day?
Right.
Hu lefisha bo hayakadosh baruch hu yechid ba'olma. It's because in order to indicate to you, Torah is not mincing words, telling you something. It was a day of oneness. It was a day of one, Yom Echad. It was not just the first day, it was the day of ultimate oneness, that Hashem was alone in His world. That even though there was a world, the experience that the world was having was not of itself, it was as a total bit of metzias, that Hashem was the only existence. Very similar, basically, to what we're saying is like the ultimate purpose of the world. That the world was created in order to be a revelation in it. And it seems like, again, this is like coming to beg the question, essentially, that wasn't that already accomplished on the first day of creation? Because there was an unbelievable level of divine reality that Hashem was alone in His world. No feeling of duality. Which means to say that the bringing into existence on the first day was in a way that it was clearly seen and revealed that Hashem was one in His world. And this notion that Hashem was the only one in His world, it was also coming from above. In other words, how Hashem, as we say, like Das Elyon, in the perspective of how Hashem sees things in general. Of course, Hashem is one in His world. At every state of affairs, no matter what state of fall the world will find itself in, Hashem always sees everything as a complete unity. But what's the chiddush here is that even mitzad k'moshenim shach lamata, even as it was drawn down below, and in the perspective of the world, it was also one. So in other words, how can you really get higher than this? In other words, this is the purpose of creation. That within inside of creation, everything should see itself as God. And that's exactly what happened already on Chaf Elul. And what did Hashem say on the first day? What was His statement for that day? It was Vayomer Elokim, what? Yehi or. Let there be light. Sha'al Yado Yuchlu B'nei Yisrael Al Yidei Avodasam. And the idea is that let there be light, which means through this light, it would enable the B'nei Yisrael, should they come into existence, through their avoda, lahayir es ha'olam kulo, ulagalos es penimius shabo. Right? That they would be able to shine the whole world and to reveal the penimius of this light, which is the Orein Sof Shalifnei Abriya V'Atzimtzum, which is basically, what is this light that He spoke out on this first day? It was the Orein Sof that's before the Tzimtzum. So we've now gone even further, beyond Atzilus, we're into the Orein Sof that's before the Tzimtzum, V'ad La'atmus Mahus, all the way up to the very essence of Hashem. It doesn't go higher than that.
That's a ridiculous statement. That's like unreal, that statement right there.
Right? That in this day He said, Yehi Or, I'm with you on the enthusiasm, big time. He says, let there be light, and in that light that He let